Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Farlands or Bust. Woof! It seems like the last few episodes, he's got his woofs timed quite properly. How you doing? Talking to you, guy. We got some pigs enjoying the sand, some chickens, but otherwise we seem all right. So let us begin episode 339 of Farlands or Bust here today, Monday, April 7th, 2014. My inventory is full to the brim. It's all these pork chops. The pork was plentiful in the last episode, apparently, so let's continue walking. Like I said, episode 339. And at the moment, we are continuing to raise money for Child's Play charity. At the moment, we will continue, and we have done so for many years. And we are currently at... See, you guys you're having some mathematical fun. In the last episode, we were at $333.33. Today, we're at $444.44. So if you would like to keep up the mathematical constant for the next episode, you got to get it to $555.55, and as we get into the thousands, that's going to start to exponentially increase, and we're going to have the greatest season yet. So much for my hesitation and kind of questioning my decision to not have a fundraiser goal this season. You guys are making up your own goals. But I do appreciate... That was a weird breath. I'm suffocating. I do appreciate the continued donations and support for Child's Play charity. Of course, Child's Play charity, they get toys, books, games to kids in hospitals around the world, among other services and ways they help out. Kind of a very gamer-centric, obviously, charity. Something that we looked for and we've supported since June 2011. A great cause to get behind. You can learn specifics about Child's Play charity at childsplaycharity.org. And yeah, I feel like when I do get around to adding more charities and more things that we can give to, I'll definitely try to be sticking with those charities. Not that they're any better than any other charity, but those charities that either have some sort of gaming connotation, whether or not supported by gamers or gaming companies or something about gaming in particular, or perhaps topics related to those with which we have discussed here and are common themes in Farlands or Bust. I mean, obviously charities that help children and people and sick people or underprivileged people are great, but there's also charities that, or foundations, organizations that work towards making the internet a better place, a freer place for everybody. And because, I talk a lot about net neutrality and the whole copyright content ID thing. And so I feel like we're going to have to, it would be nice to keep with the theme. And I will be soon, hopefully soon, getting some of these more updated and up on the website, and I'll be announcing them in videos and whatnot. Let me got some torches. Beep 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 beep. There we go. Yep, I got it, Wolfie. We're going on. But yeah, 44444 is where we're at right now for Child's Play charity. Indeed, and we're continuing to walk to the far lanes. Yeah, we had a few concerned people in the last episode for Wolfie because, for those of you who don't know, the Minecraft wolf, whenever you get too far away from a Minecraft wolf, as obviously you can note I'm doing right now, they don't tend to keep up very well. A certain amount of way, they will just teleport to your location, as we're about to experience here, because I'm sure he can't really climb here. So Wolfie will teleport. I said Wolfie will teleport. I said Wolfie will teleport. My experiment is failing. Yep, there he is. Okay, he teleported. Just believe me that he teleported. You didn't see it, but he did it. And in the last episode, he teleported and was too close to or fell into a block because the block... I'm assuming it's because the block selection is so far off. The world thinks we're one place, but the blocks are located somewhere else. And he started to take suffocation damage whence he spawned in that block. Of course, here he's going to take fall damage because... Well, he's Wolfie. Careful, Wolfie! Careful, Wolfie! Oh, yeah, okay, well, in that case, he teleported down here. Well done. Good job. So yeah, people are concerned about that, and it is something that I have considered, and that I'm sure I mentioned it before. Wow. Oh, that must have been grass. I thought the axe like broke a block of dirt behind that, but that was grass. Like instantaneous. This axe is more useful than a shovel on dirt. But no, we've considered that before, and it is indeed, it might be an issue we have to deal with eventually. But I think we're doing all right so far, and the whole block selection thing doesn't seem to be incredibly gradual. It tends to happen in large chunks. I'm assuming when that floating point moves over to the right one more point, then we lose a power of 10 of precision. I think is how it works. I always say these things and then people are like, no, that's not how it works at all, my friend. Yeah, it's going to be a while. We had one of those moments in the last season where we're like, whoa, we must have crossed some sort of thuffer and thuckatath. No, some sort of threshold where suddenly the jitter and the block selection increased tenfold, technically, I suppose, is what it would have done, but I don't know that we'll have to worry about it. And of course, that then starts to come into problems where people who have visited the far lands, say, yeah, your Ant Venom did a few videos on it way back in the day. When you get to the far lands, it starts duplicating blocks because it doesn't know where the blocks are. So, in particular, blocks that are affected by gravity, like sand or gravel, will fall, but then they'll be recreated back up where they just were, so they'll just continue to fall, and that creates a surmountable amount of lag, regardless of the power of your computer, just on the game, which is something to deal with, but I don't know that becomes a huge problem until you're really far out. Far out, man! So, we will continue onwards as we do. I get the question all the time whether or not it'd be on my media rounds answering interview questions. No, but, you know, where, oh, do you think you'll ever make it to the far lands? And, of course, the canned response I give, and even the response I gave at the last Minecon for the panel question that I got was, it's not about reaching the far lands. It is not the destination. It is the journey. Which is why we are traveling in the overworld, why we're kind of listing left and right to explore different awesome features and land, why we're not going through the nether, why we're not just teleporting or using a fly mod or hacks or anything like that. Hacks! But it's about the journey, not the destination. True, but I do believe that is the ultimate goal, is to reach the far lands. Regardless of how monumental a task it seems, even though we are 12% out along the way, we have, 78% to go. Is that right? No, that's not the math at all. 88% of the way to go. Mathematics, I do them in my head sometimes. And I fail. Regardless of the fact that people are estimating at this current pace, it would take 22 years or something ridiculous like that. That is still the ultimate goal. I would like to see one day myself reaching the far lands, and perhaps this journey will outlive YouTube as we know it. Who knows? I want to keep at it, up and at them. And that is the ultimate goal. As crazy as it seems, I don't think it would be as important if I could have done it in, say, the last 3 years. If at the last Flopathon I reached the far lands, it would still be interesting, but in that case, I'm sure I wouldn't have been the only person to have been able to have walked in vanilla to the far lands if it was only a mere if it was only a mere 3-year journey, many more people would have done it. Did that chicken just fall in that hole? Ha! Sucks to be you, guy. All right, so let's go to sleep, and I've got some news, some things to talk about, and a bunch of questions in the morning. One more darkness level. There we go. And awakeness. I was trying to think of something funny. Hey, guy. How are you? Doing all right? Enjoy your little home there now, because you will forever reside in that block. Woo! I'm gonna go help out your friend, chicken guy. It's a little stuck. All right, let's use a boat here, and I don't know, a few little news items. The majority of my viewers are still, despite the advent of mobile and set-top boxes and Amazon coming out with a set-top box and the Google, what is that thing called? The little stick, the little USB stick, the Google Play thing. Computers, desktop computers are still the #1 source of views on YouTube, at least my YouTube channel. And tomorrow, Windows XP will reach its end of life, its end of support, life support, I suppose you could call it. But basically, Microsoft is ceasing updating and releasing security patches to Windows XP tomorrow, April 8th, 2014. When was it released? Like 2000? So that's pretty long. Obviously, the reason it stuck around so long is because then they came out with Vista, and everybody hated Vista. And it was about that time, I suppose, that, you know, if you still have a computer that runs Windows XP, it's not the top of the line, obviously, but it's still a computer that gets the job done, especially that now that most of what people do is now online, a lot of the cloud services and things, it really doesn't require either huge amounts of hard drive space or memory or processing. So I think that's why Windows XP is kind of one of the longest lived operating systems. I'm running Windows 7 here, but the previous computer I tore out the guts and put into a different case and is now connected to my TV. That's kind of my a little bit over-the-top set-top box. I use it to watch Netflix and YouTube and Hulu and whatever other stuff I download and stuff on my TV in my living room. Still runs on Windows XP. That was the computer I started doing YouTube in. And I also have a really old computer from college, like 2002. I think I got that from, which that one's going to be set out to pasture. That's like a really old Dell. Everybody had one of these Dells that has like kind of the gray plastic with the big circle on the side that says Dell. Everybody had one of those. I've also got an old laptop, which I've always seen everybody has one of these laptops as well. It's an old Dell Inspiron 7000, the silver. They're like 20 pounds. It's like ridiculous. Like there's no reason that this is to be considered a mobile device. But that hasn't worked in a long time. It went through a couple hard drives and then finally went kaput. So I gotta take that. My city has it's illegal to put electronics in the trash, so there's like a special place you got to take stuff, electronics, to get recycled. So I've got to do that. But I'll probably keep the TV, the one connected to the TV on Windows XP, because I don't do anything except, just their video services. I'm not playing games or downloading things or logging in anywhere. It's just your basic like that. So that will continue working. But otherwise, yeah, I'm on Windows 7. Not looking forward to Windows 8, and I have been, like I said, I have been considering an upgrade to the computer, and it would be very, very helpful to the whole streamlining of the YouTube video making. But I don't know. I've got other things on my mind. Like I've also mentioned, it might be new car year for KurtJMac. Although that that prospect is is growing less and less, or, you know, shrinking, I suppose, would be the term for growing less. So there's that. I've got other things, other plans and goals and things on my mind. So building a computer kind of comes second to a lot of things, and this one's been working fine. It's just the you know, not being able to play games like Assetto Corsa or more recent games on 100% full graphics, or being able to render and upload videos at the same time as recording videos would really help with, like I said, streamlining the process. So maybe, depends on how other things go, but we're working fine here. We are fine as wine here. But yeah, if you do have Windows XP, I don't think it's a catastrophic thing. I also noticed that, on my computer on the TV, I have Microsoft Security Essentials, the free Microsoft virus software. That, for some reason, is not being updated either on Windows XP, which I don't understand. I mean, because you can use it on Windows Vista or 7 or 8, and it'll continue to be updated there. Why don't they just push the same updates to Windows XP? But I think they're really wanting people to stop using Windows XP, and I think that's going to be a problem for, like, a lot of businesses. A lot of even just kiosk-style stuff. There was an article that a lot of ATMs in the United States still run Windows XP. I also saw at a gas station, you know, like the Shell gas stations, depending on where you live, might have little video screens that give you advertisements and stuff while you're filling up your gas. Those run on Windows XP. I had one that was on the blue screen of death while I was filling up my gas tank. So I mean, just many things run Windows XP that you wouldn't imagine, and I'm assuming people will be caught off guard. Mostly corporations and companies that have these just mass installed workstations and cubicle-y type situations and systems and stuff like that. That'll probably be the most hindered by this. I don't know why I emphasize hindered. It's a weird word, isn't it? Wolfie agrees. That word got the Wolfie seal of approval. Bing, bing. It's a little bit like the Minecraft news theme song, but a little bit different. A variation on the theme. But yeah, that happens and is happening, I suppose. So, woo. It's kind of an unfortunate thing. Like I said, you have the hardware. You have this computer that runs Windows XP fine and dandy, and it does everything else you want to do. Oh, a crater. But it might not be able to update to Windows 7 or whatever. So in that case, you might as well buy a new computer. And if you've been working with Windows XP for the past 14 years, it's going to be kind of a shock, especially if you get stuck with Windows 8. I would recommend, if you're going to update from a Windows XP computer, go to Windows 7. It'll be much easier of a transition. Whoa, guy, that was some bold moves. Whoop, Wolfie did not have such bold moves. Woof. But I do have some space news. Is that the intro for space? No intro. But in space news, recently announced that Enceladus, depending on how you want to pronounce it, a moon of Saturn. Speaking of computers, actually, segue. It's what I named this computer that I'm using, the new computer. The old computer was named Ganymede, the largest moon in our solar system, moon of Jupiter. I named it that because the case was large and gray, much like Ganymede was. It was very heavy. It was like the biggest computer I ever built. Of course, I didn't consider that I would be building a new one eventually, so I used the largest moon in the solar system a little bit too soon. But yeah, that one was called Ganymede. This one is called Enceladus because Enceladus is very interesting. One of my more favorite objects in the solar system. Like I said, moon of Saturn, but it's long been observed. Back in 2005, actually, with Cassini, observed ice. Well, it is basically an ice-covered world, a lot like Europa. But it discovered plumes of liquid water erupting from the South Pole of Enceladus. and it's also observed changes. Enceladus has these really awesome, what they call tiger stripes, basically cracks in the ice where new ice, new water, I suppose, is being forced through, almost like plate tectonics, but with ice. And it has these really brilliant blue stripes, and those were discovered. But it's more, with recent data, it's been more and more confirmed that, yes, indeed, Enceladus does have underneath its surface... What am I doing here? Oh, I need a bed and dirt. Underneath its surface of frozenness is indeed a liquid water ocean. They discovered some 30 or 40 kilometers down under the surface. So I was talking about previously about how thick our crust is, the continental crust, before you get down to the magma and the mantle of the Earth, about the same thickness of ice, and then liquid water underneath that before there is like a rocky core. And they discovered that through like gravitational data. When Cassini made a close flyby, the gravity was different than what they expected, and that meant lower density, and then that leads to potentially an ocean where they thought there would be one. So kind of more confirming science. So let's go to sleep. Speaking of moons, that one's rising. Let's go to sleep. And a moonness. You've been mooned. But yeah, so that's very exciting news. So it again is getting marks for, you know, one of the most likely places in the solar system, along with Europa. Titan, there was news that, oh, maybe underneath Titan there is liquid water. They've been discovering, you know, certain things about Titan. Titan is also up there on the list. Mars, I suppose, ironically, for all of the attention it gets for life and potential past life, is quite low on the scale for current life in the solar system. Past life, it's pretty high because there is evidence of past water and oceans and rivers and lakes and things like that, lake beds. That's where Curiosity is currently exploring. But yeah, I really, you know, a lot of the planetary sciences are really gunning for a mission to Europa, and now, like I said, Enceladus around Europa is around Jupiter, Enceladus around Saturn. I feel like it would be, you know, not to say, you know, budgets and whatnot don't always correspond with common sense, but it would be really interesting to, since they are very similar, a moon of a gas giant planet out there in the outer solar system, ice, very thick ice, perhaps a liquid water ocean underneath that ice. It would almost seem most dubious to send two of the same spacecraft mission, you know, one to each moon. That way you kind of have a little bit of redundancy. It would indeed reduce the price of each mission because you're making them both at the same time, a lot like we did with the Mars exploration rovers Opportunity and Spirit, and also with the Voyager spacecraft, sending them both out, you know, pretty much identical spacecraft, sending them both out on the same but different trajectories and missions. You know, I feel like that is something that should be looked into more, and of course with the budgets coming out and whether or not, you know, the asteroid retrieval mission that is much promoted by some certain people in NASA and the government, and of course led to the Kerbal Space Program recent patch. You know, and the whole SLS space launch system, as to whether or not that is something that is worthwhile or we should be putting money towards. What's this telescope that is way over budget and way behind schedule? Which I think is important and we should still fund. We just need, you know, instead of, say, giving NASA, you know, 0.4 cents on the dollar, and having them have to, well, since we have to still fund the the James Webb Space Telescope, that's what it's called, will have to cut funding to planetary missions and, X, Y, Z or the other. We should just give them money to fund all of those things, you think? But very interesting news, and that just caught my attention because I'm like, hey, I named my computer after that moon. I tend to name my electronics and peripherals after either, like, moons and planetary bodies or spacecraft. I have, like, my old phone used to be... No, my netbook, my small netbook is Mercury. I believe I named that more after the Mercury missions, the Mercury capsule, because it was tiny and kind of a matte black finish. Floating islands, check this out. Speaking of the journey and not the destination. Wow, it's kind of crazy. Mercury, what else have I named things? I think I named my router, what did I name my router? Zarya, which is the first module of the International Space Station. It makes sense. It was the first module launched by the Russians, and everything else connected to it. Get it? Just like my router, everything connects to. Nerd. Also, it starts with a Z, so it's easy to find on the list of Wi-Fi. But yeah, that's something I do for some strange reason. But anyway, yeah, space news. Crazy. Levitate. Whoa, hi, how are you? Get out my face, man. Get out my face. Cool beans. But yeah, I do have some questions I can answer here as we are continuing on. From Cataratic, a frequent donor and Farlander, heard this name before, asking questions. What is your coffee to water ratio with your V60? The V60 refers to the Hario V60 that I'm using now to make coffee. It's kind of a variation on similar... It's a filtered coffee. It's kind of similar to your Chemex, except the V60 is a kind of just a separate thing you can either place on top of cups, or I personally place it on top of the base of my French press, and then serve from there. But the V60, I have the size 2, the larger size. There is a size 1, which is like a 1 cup. I have the size 2, and I really don't, and I never have, I don't have like a scale. A lot of coffee aficionados, I'm sure the Zistos of the world have scales. You basically, you put it, a kitchen scale, a weight, not scales like a dinosaur scales, but, you put your coffee, you measure out, 8 grams or whatever of coffee to 36 grams of water or something like that, which it's more accurate and you get more consistency that way, but I've never gotten that in depth. Basically what I do, I basically have like 2.5 cups of coffee every morning. I basically have 2 mugs and then like a small teacup sized cup. I don't know why, I don't have I don't have all the same glassware, but I use the measurements I've gone along with is 2 teaspoons of coffee per 1 cup, 8 ounces of water. So I have 5, not teaspoons, tablespoons. Did I say that? 2 tablespoons. So I basically use 5 tablespoons of coffee beans into the grinder, and I have, like I said, 2.5 cups. So wait, math in my head, 20 ounces of water. There we go. And that varies. I'm sure I don't keep completely consistent with that, but that's given me a consistent result. So yeah, I'm by no means an expert, and it basically takes experimentation. I had to experiment, and even each different coffee bean I get, I kind of have to change the fineness of the grind. I'm generally a little bit finer than the filter setting on my grinder, but not into the really fine, extra fine espresso setting of my grinder. is where I'm at for the V60. But yeah, we have another, before the sun sets, another coffee question from Andrew. Intelligentsia coffee is not available at my local grocery stores, no matter how hip they may be. Ooh, I'm going all over the place and missing this amazing landscape. Hold on. Let's make a boat. It'll be a little bit easier to concentrate while I'm answering this question. No matter how... I love coffee, so any suggestions? Well, I don't know where you're located, if you're in the US or not, but Intelligentsia delivers. You can buy the coffee beans. That's how I do it. They deliver, and there's a bunch of coffee roasters just around the country, and I'm sure if you just search your city and coffee roasters, you'll find just a bunch of independent coffee roasters. I've recently, actually, even though, depending on how much, no matter how much I keep promoting, despite them not being an official sponsor, Intelligentsia Coffee, I have started to try other local Chicago coffee roasters. Recently, one I've known, I just found, called Gaslight Coffee, and I recently got one from Beau Truss Coffee Roasters. Very good. Gaslight took a while to ship, and you know, whereas opposed to Intelligentsia, I think they've become so popular that they're kind of a little bit slower. I used to like have them roasted and then sent to me the next day, and I used to get, you know, and then get the coffee and it'd be like roasted the previous day, it would say on the label. They've started to slow down a little bit with that. The Gaslight coffee took about a week to get to me, which isn't terrible. It's still fresh coffee, but this place is amazing, but it's a little bit dangerous. And then, well, this is kind of a weird place to make a hidey hole, but why not? So I've done that. Gaslight coffee and Beau Truss coffee, both suggested, and they both ship, at least throughout the U.S. I don't know about internationally, if you, like I said, are international or not, but yeah, you don't have to find them in your local grocery store or anything like that. If you have like a Whole Foods around you, they generally carry local or, you know, independent coffee roasters. Like my Whole Foods carries Intelligentsia. There's also Metropolis Coffee is one, another Chicago roaster. So you just gotta search around. Find what's near you. The nearer the better, obviously, like I said, so you get it freshly roasted. But yeah, I actually, for a suggestion, if you guys go to, say, it was both at Gaslight and Beau Truss Coffee. I think it must be some sort of recent new coffee or purchase, or I'm not sure exactly how the coffee trade works, but I've tried both from, like I said, Gaslight and Beau Truss. This, I'm not sure how to say it. It's from Ethiopia. It starts with a Y. Yirgacheffe. Yirgacheffe. Anyway, it's the type of coffee and the location where in Ethiopia it comes from, but it's the process, instead of being a washed process, is a natural process, and it's kind of special, and it's expensive, so it only comes in kind of the small batches, but it's a very good coffee. This recent coffee from Ethiopia. It's very bright and a little bit like floral and fruity, but that one I got, like I said, both from Gaslight and Beau Truss. They both taste very similar, so either they came from the same exact farm or at least the same kind of lot purchased or something like that. I'm not sure, like I said, how these independent roasters source their beans, but beans. But yeah, if you are around your local coffee roaster and they have this Ethiopian coffee, I would suggest it highly. Recommended. It gets the Wolfie seal of approval. And so do you guys for following along and liking and subscribing and donating and asking questions. You guys all get the Wolfie seal of approval. I do appreciate it. Continuing on here with Far Lands or Bust in Season 5. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time.